we're in a position where we get to go into the studio and make music, and there aren't any rules. And a lot of times bands, especially if they've had success, can start to think, well, there are rules. Like, well, I'm this kind of a band. When we started working with Rick Rubin on Minutes to Midnight, he was very clear with us up front that we are not in a box unless we put ourselves in a box, and he didn't want us to be in any boxes. And so we kind of went through that whole transition with the last record of moving out of the sound with which people were most familiar. All six of us kind of put on the table the creative compact to do whatever it is that we wanted to do, irrespective of anyone else's expectations. And surprisingly, we actually stuck to that. And that's why, when people hear the record, hopefully, they'll notice that it is Linkin Park, and yet it definitely is the next step of the evolution of our band.
Thousand Suns is a lyric in Catalyst, or God Save Us Everyone When We Burn Inside the Fires of 1,000 Suns. It's a very visual phrase. It also is tied to an Oppenheimer quote that we placed in the beginning of the album. If the brilliance of 1,000 suns, or the radiance of 1,000 suns, were to burst forth at once, it would be like being like seeing God. It would be that intensive of an experience. And so that tied really well to that too. So it felt like it was a good contender for an album title, and it eventually made sense to us. We actually kicked around the idea of doing a concept record, and we're very serious about it in the beginning process. As free and artistic and really cool as that sounded, it kind of worked against our real agenda, which was to write songs that didn't have to be bound by anything. What's interesting is at the end of the process, the way that all the songs, lyrically especially, all the songs seemed to work together, it really did feel like we wrote a concept record, because you feel like you're getting told the story, and there's a beginning and a middle and an end, and there's a through line. And that was something that was really cool for us to kind of figure out. As a parent, I know that I will always love my children, and no matter what they do, nothing they could ever do will be so bad that I won't love them unconditionally. And that particular song, automatically the words started coming with the melody. It was almost like writing a letter, like, hey, when things get tough, you're not sure about what's going on, just remember that, I love you and that I'm here and your family is always with you and all that kind of stuff. Loosely, that is definitely, I think, sums up the overall aspect of the record, because there's a lot of good and bad and this agitation and this remorse and this pleading, and there's all this optimism, and there's standing up and speaking out and taking a stand. And so to put that song at the end of the record felt nice. It felt good to bring it back to a very organic level and just tell people that, life is beautiful even though it's ugly sometimes. We've spent, 5 of the last 10 years on the road. We've written an album, gone on the road and toured it, come home, written an album, gone out and toured it. Well, that takes 3 or 4 years between each album, and so that's something that we would like to change. We'd like to really put more quality music out quicker for our fans, and I think for us too, it keeps us energized and excited about what we're doing. So Right on the Road would be I think all of us collectively in a bullhorn. Right on the road. Put more records out.
I was just going to say, bring a good pillow with you on tour, so to support your neck. But what you said was really good too.
Yeah, they're both equally as important.